Warfox. Got Grazy. Got him, Zoe. Holy shit.
Welcome, aviators, to my first ever proper Scum tutorial. This is going to be covering the basics of CQC, close quarter combat. So essentially, I've had a few people asking me to create a tutorial based on, the fundamentals of close quarters combat in Scum and what sort of tactics you can apply, what works, what doesn't. Basically, just a bit of a hand, because Scum is a pretty unique game when it comes to the kind of things that work and what don't, and it has a bunch of things that are, unique to Scum that you're probably going to want to learn, because all the people who are really good are all using these tactics. This isn't necessarily going to cover things like sniping or how you should actually, move around in Scum in general. What we're going to go over is the basics, cover things like engagement distances, but there's a difference between someone who's right in your face and someone who's 25, 50 meters away. Cover the footstep noise distance. So pretty much if you're hearing footsteps, this is going to apply. If you hear someone running, this is where you need to turn this on. Then we're going to get into some Scum specific things. And then we're going to look at, your violence of action, so forward momentum on the battlefield. And then how you're going to practice all of this. That should cover the intro, and then we'll start getting into some of the fun. So I guess the first thing I should cover is what qualifies me to be able to talk about, CQC in Scum. So firstly, I have the serial killer achievement in the game, which less than 1% of players have, which is gain 500 PvP kills out in the wider world. Also in the deathmatch events, so just the practice fun events, I've got over 2,000 kills in that, and I've got about 3,000 hours in the game. Figure at least I can share some of this knowledge with everybody else. So with your audio settings maxed out, so if you have Windows at 100% and Scum at 100%, this distance is roughly the distance at which you're going to hear footsteps, the max distance. Somebody, and as you can see, that's within 20 meters. If somebody is within 20 meters of you, this is definitely the time that this kind of gameplay is going to apply. As I said, this isn't a sniping tutorial or anything to that effect. You don't want to use these kind of tactics against somebody that you're stalking who's far. Essentially, you're going to be using these tactics on somebody who is on top of you. They know you're there, you know they're there. You're going to get into a fight, and you want to be the one that comes out on top. Around about this sort of distance, which is 50 meters, as I mentioned at the start of the video. This is still within the close quarter combat distance, in my opinion, simply because based on a visual cue, someone that's this far away, you're going to be able to full auto them with the weapon that you're using to take them out. You're not going to have to tap fire. So since we've covered the distances I'm talking about, which is obviously very close range, anything obviously under this 20 meters is going to be close quarters. So we're going to cover what you should do. If you run into someone at like this 1 meter distance, there is still something, you're going to do something different to someone who's 20 meters away. If I'm running along and I see this person, I'm immediately lighting them up. Now, as you can see, with full auto from that distance, all of those rounds, like that is definitely going to kill them. You're going to need to practice recoil control, but if you can get to above advanced rifle skill, you can turn a lot of these assault rifles in full auto into basically laser beams where they've got very little recoil. So if I'm running along, I look to my right, there's a person there, I'm immediately lighting them up. Now that was an entire magazine where most of the rounds all landed on target. That person is definitely dead when using like a 5.56 like this. Right now I'm going to cover what would happen in the same scenario if you ran around a corner and there was someone right there this is within 10 meters. This is where I'd be most comfortable to use a third person spray. There's a few different things that you might want to look at to make this a bit easier, but we'll cover that when it comes to Scum specific tactics. This is more of a general rule. So if I'm running along and old mate pops out from behind a corner, I'm going to immediately just try and spray him down in third person, try and get him in the center of my screen. Within this distance, you should be able to get him on target. There's some things you can do to improve your chances, which we'll cover. But you want to basically be shooting at this guy, bullets in the air before he does. And that slight delay, I mean, with above advanced rifle skill, it's very, very little, but that slight zoom in to get on target might get you killed. So I'll show you what this looks like. So I'm running along, I see him. Third person spray. Alright, now I'm going to cover what happens when you hear somebody. So I've heard somebody on the other side of this corner. They're right there. I've heard their footsteps. Hello, how's it going? What I would do within this sort of scenario, they're running, you're running, so you've both heard each other. So you need to get on them first. Now this is going to cover the camera movement of left and right. So because I'm approaching a right-hand turn on this corner, I'm going to switch the camera to the left-hand side. What this does is it allows me to see around that corner earlier than if I am coming around with the camera on the right. Something I have to mention as well is that when I'm running around in the game, I'm almost always running around in third person. Now this is that's something that's going to be covered in the Scum specific reasons for doing this. Because as we know, there is a no third person peeking feature in Scum. As you can see, if I get without the first person view, that character disappears. Good on the Scum devs for trying to find a way to prevent third person peeking, but it has inadvertently created another tactic that we're going to take advantage of when we get to the Scum specific stuff. So again, run along, I've heard them, it's on, I'm switching camera sides before I come around. So, say I've heard them now, switch, dead. So, again, get rid of the zombies, because they're ridiculous here. Again, I'm switching that camera side to be getting around that corner with my camera earlier. You can even, if you know they're right there, you can even try to pre-fire. I wouldn't necessarily always recommend that because you might stuff it up. The person might be up here or something silly, and if you're pre-firing, you're shooting into a wall or a corner. But I can't necessarily always recommend pre-firing, but I can always recommend changing your camera angle depending on the corner that you're coming around. Also in the basics here, I'm just going to quickly cover what to do if you hear somebody that's inside a building. It's essentially the same. It's similar sort of stuff, but obviously you're going to be doing what's called slicing the pie. And this is something you would have done in many other games, or you would have learned this in the military if you'd been in the military, but essentially what you're doing is cutting little chunks of the area here, slicing a pie, sort of getting around, looking in there. You want to do it relatively fast because the person's heard you, they know what direction you are, you know what direction they are roughly, you know they're in here, so you're slicing the pie. As you come in, if they're not right here in this right corner, as you're coming further around, you can then start to use your sight to then slow down because you can, because you are at least hoping that they're in this corner. And there they are. The only problem here is, obviously with a double door like this, I can't see into this corner. But that's where your audio cue is king here. You need to hopefully have heard the direction they're in. So you already know they're not behind this corner, they're behind this one. Again, there's always the potential for somebody to be hiding this corner as well as the person that's making noise, but the fact of the matter is, you don't know for sure if someone's there. You do know for sure somebody else is making noise on this side. So you can come around, do what you need to do. Alright, this is the part of the tutorial we're going to get into the Scum specific tactics. These are unique to the Scum game in and of itself due to the systems that are in place. And this is where, this is the kind of stuff that your really good PvPers are going to be using in Scum to their advantage. So it's good to learn this stuff. The first and most, I guess, the most important one is going to be the third person peeking and how that's going to work. Essentially, Scum has a system in the game where if my first person character can't see through the player through that rock, they are invisible. They render in once my first person perspective can see them. So you'll notice that that target disappears when I can't see them due to being occluded by the rock. In theory, this is a good idea because third person peeking, as we know from games like PUBG, etc., is painful. So the devs have attempted to get on top of this. However, this has also created a Scum unique issue that we're going to be able to take advantage of. Essentially, what's going to be happening is if I don't know where somebody is, so if I say move this character to a position where they might not be immediately obvious, it's not a good hiding spot, but you never know when you're going to run into somebody or where someone might be trying to hide. People are pretty crafty and tricky and will come up with different tactics that will sometimes work. Now, where this person's hiding, it's not immediately obvious, not within the time frame of close quarter combat, which is, seconds count. So what I'm going to do is the person is hiding just there. Now, I'm not going to see them immediately if I come running over a hill, but I can do this. Now you'll notice where that person is, that they are rendering in and out of existence when my character can actually see them in the first person perspective. So there's first person, they go behind something, they disappear. Now, what I'm going to do is if I run down here and I start going left and right like this, and then that person's going to start to flash. You can see them there flashing in and out of existence. Now the human eye is going to pick that up as movement. We're really, really attuned to seeing movement, and that's what you're going to be looking for. If someone's hiding, then you're not going to immediately pick them up. Probably not fast enough. But as I'm using and abusing this tactic, I can see that that person's blinking in and out of existence, and I know where they're hiding, and bang. This is probably how, if you've ever been killed randomly when you thought you were hiding really good, this is how they've most likely seen you. They've done this, and they've seen the flashing. It's not the most overt thing, but it is a big part of the PvP in Scum. It's how I find people hiding. It's an important thing to get on top of. While we're on movement, if you're sneaking around, so you're sneaking around, you know there's players here, and you get shot at, so you're immediately on your feet, looking for cover. You've heard the direction the shots come from. You don't want to just sit like this, because you've just sprinted across, a few meters there to this rock. Someone else might have seen that, and they're going to attack you. You're already in a fight, so you might as well move like you are. So that means darting around, not staying still. You're still looking for that person. You're doing the third person peeking to get them to render in and out of existence. Then you can see them and kill them and get away from where you're shot, because obviously you've given away your position with gunfire, and get to another position to then see if anyone's going to be looking for you, because chances are if there's more than one person around, they're going to be looking for you. So what I do is, it's a lot of WSA&D movement, a lot of just darting around, not sitting still, giving a sniper an opportunity to take a crack at me. This makes it harder for people to get a beat on you, even if there's someone close and they've honed in on you and they're like, oh, I'm going to try and hit this guy, but he's moving all over the place. If they shoot, miss, then you get the chance to fight back. So, movement-wise, a lot of darting around. You'll notice when I'm running around in third person. I'm only going to use first person, say, if I was going to shoot this guy, I definitely would be first person shooting him. I wouldn't try to third person him. Now, something that might be a little bit controversial is that a lot of guys are using a inbuilt reticle on their monitors. Now, as you can see in Scum, there's a little white automatic reticle that's just there. It's showing you the position of your mouse, essentially. It's the center of the screen. When I go into combat, that disappears. If I'm running around with the gun lowered, it's still there, so then I can immediately just fire and it's already, aiming where I want to be. A lot of guys are sort of skirting this and they're using inbuilt reticles. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm just saying that it is a tactic that people are using. I've had a look through Reddit and the Steam forums, and it doesn't appear to be a bannable thing to do. I'm just letting you know about it because that's what people are doing. You don't have to do it because there is already a dot in the middle of your screen. So if I'm sprinting around, I run right into someone, I can already just aim straight at them anyway and fire. Because, it's already on that target because I wasn't running around with my rifle up. Essentially, with Scum, there's not really any difference between a third-person shot and a aimed shot when it comes to accuracy. Something that I think the devs might want to get on top of eventually, and they might do, but as of right now, the third-person reticle and third-person shooting is no less accurate than a zoomed shot. There's no penalty for firing in third person. Alright, here I'm going to cover what sort of gear you should be using, what works best and what doesn't. Essentially, you want to be using a rifle caliber weapon. So you want to run a AK, you want to run AK-15, you want to run VHS, you want to run an M16 even on burst, which can fire really fast if you click fast, almost automatic fire. Or you want to be using this, the Mark 18. This is easily my favorite gun in the game. Hopefully it doesn't get touched by the devs because it is just absolutely ridiculous in close quarters and it can reach out to decent distances as well. The reason you want to use a rifle caliber weapon as opposed to an SMG is because this is going to punch through armor and do the most damage the quickest. Essentially, if someone's wearing a heavy vest and you're using a SMG, so a pistol caliber weapon, chances are in a head-to-head where you run right into each other and they're using automatic rifle like an AK, you're going down first and they're going to be able to heal. They might be wounded or their armor might absorb all of the shots. I've seen it happen heaps of times. I've had heaps of people get the drop on me with an SMG and dump an entire magazine into me only for me to spin around and smash them. So you want to be using a rifle caliber weapon. If you run into somebody at these kind of engagement distances where the fight is inevitable, you want to be the one that comes out on top, and the best way to do that is to be the one that's practiced this kind of fighting the most. Obviously, this doesn't cover how you should be moving through the world, stealthing, not telegraphing your position, etc., etc., taking out people from a distance without them even knowing you're there. This is not intended to cover that kind of thing. This is intended to cover the inevitable close quarters fight. I've seen fights where they've both hurt each other and both of them froze up and they've sat there for 15, 20 minutes waiting for the other person to make a move. Only for somebody else to show up and just ruin their party. Most of the time, because of the kind of engagement distances that do occur in Scum, they're either very long range or intermediate, and then the occasional close range if you're running into people in bunkers, etc. You're going to run into people that are going to push you. Like, they're going to do the same thing, right? The people that are well versed in this. If they're, if your base is getting raided, you're gonna have people that are gonna push and are gonna attack your position. The best way to deal with that is just by being more of a force to reckon with, by being faster and more well practiced. And the best way to do that, practice in those death matches, in your events. All you have to do is go into the tab menu, go to events. Then you want to go and create like a death match. Anywhere is fine. Like here, you create it. When someone joins, the countdown starts to start deathmatch. This deathmatch, again, it doesn't cost anything. It costs like 1 fame point, I believe, to join. Once you're in it, you're able to select from a variety of weapons. My recommendation here for this is to, again, pick rifle caliber weapons. So an M249 is pretty much, you really want to pick the one that you're actually going to be using. So if you've got a VHS2, it's probably a good idea to practice with that. If you've got an AK, it's probably a good idea to practice with that and get used to the recoil. For me, I always just grab the Mark 18 because that's what I run. Hit respawn, and then you get to run around and shoot people to your heart's content. For a time limit for kills, but all this is doing is allowing you to practice the fast stuff. And that concludes today's tutorial. Hopefully you found it useful. Obviously there is a lot more in-depth tutorials out there that cover everything from the rifle damage to, your stats and your character and how that affects what, and what mouse sensitivity you should be running. Again, all these things are things you can look up. This is just a broad stroke of what you can do in close quarters, not necessarily covering everything, but hopefully it does give you an idea what some of these guys that are extremely good are doing to get on top of you. If you're always getting killed in close quarters by these people that are moving like crazy, this is the kind of stuff they're doing. Yeah, all you can really do is practice, stay frosty, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like this stuff, and see you next time.